I'd like to call the Gurnee Village Board regular meeting of June 5th, 2017 to order. Roll call, please, Donna.
Hood.
Here.
Thorstensen.
Here.
Jacobs.
Here.
Ross.
Here.
Garner.
Here.
Thomas.
Present.
All present.
Here. Jeez.
All right. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Good evening. Welcome. First item on the agenda is public comment. If you'd like to address the board, you may come to the microphone and state your name and your address voluntarily. Good evening, Lori.
My name is Lori Friedel. I live at 501 Cliffwood Lane in Gurnee. And I wrote this out, so I'll be civil. Throughout Chief Fred Friedel's career, his family has always been his priority, something he has always reminded his personnel of. He is close seconds for the fire department and his community. Fred began his fire career in 1972 during his senior year in high school with the Wooddale Fire Protection District. Serving in all positions, he was appointed as fire chief in 1988. Fred received an award for merit, many services, saved a young boy when he was small. Chief Friedel is also known by his colleagues and firefighters, became part of the Gurnee Fire Department in 1996. Besides his duties as fire chief for both departments, Fred not only a member, but served as many community boards. He is an Area 2 representative of the Illinois Fire Chiefs, served as a president twice for the Metropolitan Fire Chiefs Association of Illinois, chairman of the Lake and McHenry County Specialized Response Team, president of the Lake County Fire Chiefs Board Association, on and on and on. In March of 2004, he was one of 506 fire chiefs to receive the professional designation of CFO, which is Fire Chief Officer worldwide. Fred has volunteered an extraordinary number of hours serving his community with the Exchange Club. In 2007, he was voted Volunteer of the Year at the National Convention in Portland, Oregon. Fred has also received Exchange of the Year Award in 2006 and recently received the Distinguished Service Award in 2017. That's only a snapshot of his career in 45 years. And then on Tuesday morning, May 30th, he was called to a meeting by Christy, the mayor, and Pat, the village administrator, and Christine, the HR director, who presented him with a choice of taking a forced retirement or resignation of termination. Going in another direction was the reason they stated. Like a felon, he was immediately stripped of his badge, his identity, had to turn over his keys and his phone, which he got his phone back, thank you, and the car, and he was dropped off in his driveway. He was told arrangements would be made for him to pick up his personal belongings. Embarrassed and humiliated, he walked to the neighbor's house to call his family. Without question, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, he gave to this community and this board. What disrespect you showed to Fred, his family, myself, his friends. I'm truly embarrassed for your actions. Thank you for the offer of a walkout. You already gave him one on Tuesday, and you can serve this as a press release. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other public comment? All right, then I will move on to the approval of the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Jacobs,
Second.
second by Trustee Garner. Roll call, please. Donna?
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Yes.
Thomas.
Aye.
All ayes.
All right, motion carries. Patrick, please read the consent agenda into the record.
Item number 1, approval of the minutes from the May 15, 2017 Village Board meeting. Item number 2, approval of ordinance 2017-26, removing one Class 1 liquor license by amending Section 6-56 of Article 2 of Chapter 6 of the Gurnee Municipal Code entitled Alcoholic Beverages as last amended by ordinance number 2016-68 passed October 3, 2016, reduction due to Lone Star Steakhouse. Item number 3, approval of Engineering Division's recommendation to award the 2017 pavement marking program to Superior Road Striping at a cost not to exceed $50,000, Lake County Municipal League Cooperative Purchasing Program. Item number 4, approval of payroll for period ending May 12, 2017 in the amount of $798,429.67. Item number 5, approval of payroll transfer journal for period ending May 12, 2017, in the amount of $789,565.67. Item number 6, approval of payroll for period ending May 26, 2017, in the amount of $772,680.77. Item number 7, approval of payroll transfer journal for period ending May 26, 2017, in the amount of $762,379.10. Item number 8, approval of bills for period ending June 5, 2017, in the amount of $1,476,309.90.
Thank you, Patrick. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as read into the record? Motion by trustee Garner, second by trustee Jacobs. Roll call, please, Donna.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner. Thomas.
Aye.
All ayes.
All right, motion carries. We'll move on to petitions and communications. First up is the staff and advisory board appointments as recommended by Mayor Kovarik. I'll read them into the record. Village Administrator, Patrick Moots. Community Development Director, Assistant Village Administrator, and Assistant Village Administrator, David Ziegler. Village Engineer, Scott Drabicki. Public Works Director, Tom Rigwood. Police Chief, Kevin Woodside. Acting Fire Chief and ESDA Director, John Cavanaugh. Finance Director, Brian Gosnell. Treasurer, Patrick Moots. IMRF Agent, Brian Gosnell. Budget Officer, Patrick Moots. Village Attorney, Brian Winter. Deputy Village Clerk, Donna Dallas. For Planning and Zoning Board, I'm adding a new member, Tim Garrity, who's with us tonight. Tim Garrity has served on our Economic Development Committee since its inception. And with an opening on the Plan and Zoning Board, I'm moving him up, and he has graciously volunteered to serve. His term will expire 4/30/19. We're reappointing Richard McFarland, David Nordentoff, and Josh Peshek to the Planning and Zoning Board. Civil Service Commission, reappointment of Gretchen Niederrep. Reappointment to the Ethics Commission of Barbara Swanson. Reappointment of Police Pension Board of John Mentor. Reappointment of Fire Pension Board, Mary Jo Colress. And reappointment of our Administrative Hearing Officer, Yolanda Torres. These are recommendations subject to the concurrence of the board. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Jacobs, second by trustee Balmas. Roll call, please, Donna.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
All ayes.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. Move on. That's all petitions and communications. Any reports?
No.
All right, no old business.
Correct.
All right, we will move on to new business. First item is approval of ordinance 2017-27, granting a special use permit for a car wash for 4145 Grove Avenue pursuant to the Gurnee zoning ordinance. Patrick?
Sure. So I'll give you a run through, and I know the petitioner's here tonight. David's going to put up the site plan for us here as I walk through this. So on May 17th, the Planning and Zoning Board held a public hearing on establishing a car wash at 4145 Grove. So this is a parcel on Grove that is south of Wendy's and then north of the economical buffet that you've got there at the corner of Delaney and 41. Looking for a special use permit for the establishment of a car wash, and then also a special use permit to allow a drive-through facility without a bailout lane. It's about 1.3 acres on the CB2 PUD. Proposing a fully automatic car wash with 3 gated lanes. Each lane will have a associated specific payment method along with it. Outside lanes for prepaid, center lane would be for credit card, and the interior would be for cash and new customers, although they can make adjustments on the fly based on the amount of business to have any of the lanes accept any sort of payment. Room for about 22 cars to stack between the pay gates and the north-south drive aisle, which is on your left side of the screen up there. And then room for about 9 more cars to stack on that north-south drive aisle before they're out into the Grove Avenue right away. It'll also have 17 cleaning stations on site with vacuums and trash receptacles, access from an existing curb cut on Grove Avenue. Traffic will flow around the site in a counterclockwise one-way position, as you can see there on the diagram. The second request, which is the next item on the agenda, I'll cover it here, is for the special use permit for a drive-through facility without the bailout lane. The way it's set up with the 3 drive aisles leading into the gated, where you pay for the car washes, it's not very conducive to have a bailout lane. If you're on one of those inside lanes, you're not going to be able to cut across and get out. There is room after you go through the gates there on the north end of the site before you enter the car wash where you can escape from there. So that if the car wash person needs to escape, the car wash attendant can let them through there. Obviously, he needs to keep track of all the cars that are in queue to make sure that the person that paid for the car wash gets their appropriate car wash. So there is the ability for that. There were no public comments at the public hearing, but a nearby business to the northwest of the subject property did express concerns about traffic and drainage. I talked earlier about the number of cars that are able to stack up in there. Typically, I'm sure as the board has experienced, if you drive by a car wash and there's a line a mile long, you just drive by and either find a different car wash or come back later. So we don't think there'll be an issue with cars stacking out into Grove Avenue. And then as it relates to any drainage issues or water being taken from the cars onto Grove Avenue in the wintertime, icing up, village engineer took a look at that. And given the distances and the storm sewer, near the proximity, staff didn't believe there'd be any issues with water onto the pavement that would cause any hazards to the motoring public. So the special use permit for the car wash made it through the PZB on a unanimous favorable recommendation, subject to a couple conditions. One, that a minimum of 2 attendants be on site at all times, and 2, that the facility have no retail other than some vending machines that have car cleaning supplies in it. Staff's also recommended a third condition be added to special use, that the cross-access easement be recorded on the site's north-south access drive for the benefits of the property to the south. So that's that shaded area up there on the site plan, that there be a cross-access easement so the property to the south can use that to get up to Grove Avenue and then exit to the signalized intersection at Grove and Delaney. So that made it through unanimous. As it relates to the request for the special use permit for the no bailout lane, that made it through 5-1 favorable recommendation. There was one member of the Planning and Zoning Board that felt a bailout lane should be incorporated through site modifications, but looking at that, it wasn't feasible. So as I said, that made it through in a favorable 5-1, so that's the next item on your agenda. So, and that is my summary. Staff's here, petitioner's here. If there's any further questions from the village board.
All right.
Oh, question about hours of operation, was it?
Trustee Hood?
Oh, sorry. Hours of operation.
Hours of operation?
6 a.m., I believe, until 10 p.m.
Can I have you go to the microphone, please? And introduce yourself just for the
My
record.
name is Mark Rodriguez. I represent the car wash. The operation hours are from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., but from 9 p.m. to 10 is the cleaning process.
Okay, thank you. Other questions about the special use permit? Do I have a motion? Motion to approve from
Second.
Trustee Balmas, second from Trustee Thorstensen. Roll call, please, Donna.
Hood,
Yes.
Thorstensen,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Ross, Garner, Bombas. All ayes.
All right, motion carries. Item number 2, approval of ordinance 2017-28, granting a special use permit for a drive-through facility without a bailout line for 4145 Grove Avenue pursuant to the Gurnee zoning ordinance. Questions from the trustees?
Is it that we just couldn't put one in?
Trustee Garner?
Is it just we couldn't fit it on the property? What was the reason for no bailout lane?
For David. All right, just state your name for the record, please.
My name is Lee Austin.
Okay.
I'm the engineer for the project. There is a bailout lane to the northern part. We don't have a separate lane. You can get past all the pay stations. But once you get to the northern part of the drive, that's wide enough so people can get around if there's a car stalled or anything. And if a car stalls someplace else, the gates can be operated by the person that's on duty to get them out. So essentially we have a bailout lane, but it's not just free flowing, okay? Once you're in the pay lines, they're going to have to open the gate. If somebody has a problem, they would open the gate. The attendant would open the gate.
So can you point out where the gate is?
The gates are right.
The gates are right there.
Stations.
So once you're queued up for the gates, you're stuck in line unless they open the gate to let everybody out. Once you're past the gates, then they can open up and let that person escape.
That's correct, yes. Yeah. So if there's a problem at the gate, the attendant can let that person through and get them out of the way.
So if you want to get out and you're further down in the line, it would take you a while to get out.
Well, it could, yes. But I think, as it was stated before, when you get, when you drive past the car wash, there's a lot of people, you're not going to go. The only reason somebody would have a problem is they get up to the gate and they go, oh, didn't bring my credit card, didn't bring my cash, which can happen. And in that case, they're up to the gate. The attendant can talk to them and find out what the problem is, and then let them go, and they got room to move out of the whole system.
That's all.
Other questions? Trustee Ross?
Are we also talking about the access? Was that in the first motion, that the access from the...
Yep, the cross-access easement was in the first, the one that you just approved, yep.
And then the other thing, though, that seems to be a concern to me is that, say you're the fourth car back there and then you get a call from a child at home and you need to go home right away. How can you get out?
Well, the rate that they move cars through is pretty phenomenal. Jeff, how many cars do you do an hour?
This wash is capable of doing about 150 cars an hour.
About 150 cars an hour. So
No
your
problem.
wait's not going to be long to get up to the gate where you can say, I got to leave, Yeah.
Another thing is, where those gates are, that's where the attendant is going to be located. I think some of us are familiar with, it's just purely automated and you don't see an attendant. There's actually a window that looks out to that area so that if you get the attention of the attendant, he could actually come out, direct traffic, ask those cars to move.
That's correct.
And release the gate. That was one of the concerns of the Plan Commission. That's why they mandated that there be 2 attendants, because the question was asked, if someone has a washroom break or a break, they want to make sure that that's manned.
Actually, it was updated. There's a pay window located about here where an attendant is. So they have complete visibility of the complete line.
Where Dave's pointing on the plan there. That's where the attendant is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Hood,
Second.
second by Trustee Jacobs. Roll call, please, Donna.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
All ayes.
All right, motion carries. Good luck. Welcome to the Village of Gurnee. Item number 3, approval of ordinance 2017-29, granting a special use permit for a daycare center for 1555 Nations Drive pursuant to the Gurnee zoning ordinance.
Sure. So that same night, May 17th, Planning and Zoning Board had a public hearing on the petition of establishing a daycare center at 1555 Nations. So this is a lot south of Fit Nation. It's about 1.5 acres, zone CB2 PUD. It is part of the 1997 Auto Nations Plan Unit Development, which requires special use permits for daycare centers, even though the updated zoning ordinance does not, so long as certain standards are met. Staff communicated to the petitioner that they need to work to meet those standards. Those standards that are applicable in this case relate to conforming to all federal, state, and local requirements related to licensing, health, safety, and building codes, and then state open space / recreational area requirements and regulations. So they were able to meet all those. Some of the facility highlights I'll run through here quick. Kiddie Academy currently operates in 24 states. They're looking at a 10,000 square foot facility with 9 classrooms. Maximum care for 159 children from 6 weeks up to 12 years old. All the doors, gates on the facility are alarmed, so if any of the kids make their way out, alarms go off, staff's notified. Operating hours from 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., 20 staff members on site when fully occupied. Do serve hot lunch along with morning and afternoon snacks on a daily basis. The site will have a single point of entry and then one-way counterclockwise circulation pattern as recommended by our traffic consultant. 34 parking stalls, including 2 handicap. Our code will require a minimum of 20, so they exceed that. And then their lighting, landscaping, and signage all meets the requirements of the PUD and the zoning ordinance. So received a unanimous favorable recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Board that night and is ready for your consideration.
Questions from the trustees? Is the petitioner here? Okay. Trustee Jacobs?
Sure. With people going off to work first thing in the morning, coming home at night, rush hour, is 34 spaces really an appropriate number? Should it be more?
Good evening. My name's Todd Roberts with Mayor Kovarik, a civil engineer for the project. Yeah, as mentioned by, I can't read your name from here, but only 20 spaces are actually required for the facility, and we're providing 24 there. Folks do have to actually come inside to get their child, and then they can depart right away. But folks here are here from Kitty Academy as well that could maybe help understand how that process goes in terms of time as well. But we feel it's adequate parking, though.
I have a reservation about the number of spots. Being a business operator myself at one point in my life, it just, rush hour, it just doesn't seem like that would be enough with people dropping off their kids en masse. If there's space for 159 kids, people coming, dropping them off between 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning.
Greg Blackwell with representing Kitty Academy. Typically, the drop-off is from 7 a.m. until 9 a.m. as when the bulk of the children are delivered, and vice versa between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. is when the pickup times are, and they're staggered. They're 8 minutes, 10 minutes. They will actually park and escort their children inside into the vestibule to have a PIN number, punch in, escort the children to the teacher, and leave. And that typically takes about, like I said, 8 to 10 minutes of time.
And I concur that we had our traffic consultant take a look at this. He based his analysis on the traffic engineering handbook, which studies these types of facilities throughout the country. It exceeds, the minimum parking standards for this size of facility based upon statistics from across the country.
I'm not going to hold my breath on this, but okay.
Where does staff park? If you have 20 staff on hand and only 24 spaces.
Yeah, staff parking is in the same parking lot there.
It's in the same?
Yeah.
There's 34 spaces.
Oh, okay.
34 spots, 20 staff, 14 people dropping off.
Although all 20 wouldn't be there first thing in the morning.
Yeah, but again, you got people coming. I drive down Dilly's Road to Grand Avenue every morning, and the people coming down that street, I'm just not seeing it. But there's 6 people voting, so we'll see it. I'm not going to hold up the project based on that, but I just have a concern.
All right. Other questions? Trustee Thorstensen?
Is there backup parking considered at any of the neighboring facilities or onto the street, the Circle Drive?
No, there's no backup parking. What you're seeing on the site plan is all the parking that's proposed.
There are adjacent parking lots at Fit Nation. If, while they do not have a formalized agreement with Fit Nation to provide cross parking, there are adjacent parking fields.
That's good, because I could see that if we got into a dilemma, then at least there would be a backup.
Yeah, it might be a situation where they need to reach out to the park district to see if they can leave some spots for the employees to park at or something and then walk over.
I mean, they're operating 187 facilities nationwide here, and this is a very typical site plan for them. This is working for them in other locations, so we don't see a problem with it.
Other questions?
So moved.
Okay, motion for approval by trustee Hood. Motion, or second by trustee Thorstensen. Roll call, please. Donna?
Hood,
Yes.
Thorstensen,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Aye.
Ross,
Aye.
Garner,
Aye.
Thomas,
Aye.
all ayes.
All right, motion carries. Congratulations. Welcome to the village. We haven't had a new daycare center in a really long time, so good luck.
You just did that on purpose.
Yeah, Hood and then Thorntonson. All right, item number 4, approval of ordinance 2017-30, authorizing the execution of a master service agreement between the Village of Gurnee and the Illinois Department of Central Management Services.
This is the
That's
most complicated item on the agenda, if you ask me, but, so Chris is here if there's questions. So we maintain a number of internet connections through a combination of different providers, TDS, Metrocom, Comcast, AT&T, and then the Illinois Century Network. So you remember back in March, we approved an agreement with Comcast for a Metro Ethernet. That's the fiber to transport, or for a connection at the police department that was going to help us with Zion, as well as some other village improvements. So that's currently under construction moving forward. Our LEADS connection to the state, which LEADS is the law enforcement agency's database system. It's a statewide and national system that provides law enforcement information they use for day-to-day operations. So this could be wanted persons, gang files, sex offender registries, driver's license, license plate information. We connect to that through a T1 circuit that's currently at the Gurnee Police Department. So the state's requesting that all these T1 circuits be phased out in favor of a Metro Ethernet. So after receiving that information, Chris and his team took a look at it from a comprehensive village-wide standpoint as far as what other efficiencies we could gain, since our hand was kind of being forced on that. So what they've come up with is connecting the Gurnee Police Department to the Illinois Century Network with a Metro Ethernet transport. Links from Comcast, so this is what was approved by the village board earlier, and then the future will be coming forward requesting a connection through AT&T too, but that's in the future. So, and then to purchase internet access through the Illinois Century Network for both internal and external village uses. So you have Comcast and AT&T, which AT&T is the future provide the pipe, and then the Illinois Century Network, that's your internet and your LEADS connection. So that's what this agreement is. With this agreement, it's about $860 a month. There's no upfront cost. We're recommending a 3-year agreement, which coincides with our agreement that we just signed with Comcast. So that brings the total to $30,960. There are some costs that'll drop off when we go to this agreement. It's not a complete wash, but going with this connection, there are some other advantages, some efficiencies that we gain. So like I said, while it's not completely offset, we do gain some things. So that's it in a nutshell. My non-technical explanation. So Chris is here. Chris is the expert.
Yeah,
so,
call it plain language.
Yeah, tried. So that's what there's money in the budget. This is something that they knew was coming. They budgeted appropriately. And like I said, I mean, there's other added benefits besides just the LEADS connection to village operations. So like I said, they looked at this from a holistic approach versus just looking at that our hand was being forced on the LEADS. So.
Well, the village has to be connected 24/7, 365 days a year. We cannot afford to be down at any, even for a second. So, questions from the trustees? Trustee Thorstensen?
I just have one small question. You're saying in the paragraph on the second page that this positions us to be able to share bandwidth with the other Gurnee area public agencies. Was that like the Warren one that you've talked about in the past?
Warren in the past has used ICN. Currently they're getting both their delivery and their internet service through Comcast. So the ability to, in the future, work with them to have one back up the other gives you diversity amongst providers. The only trick with that, in talking with the high school, has been the size of the pipe they do and the size that, even with this expansion that we do, pales in comparison in terms of the scope. So while they would be a great backup for us, we're not a great backup for them as of yet. But if maybe down the road we could work with the library or the park district, we could get to the right size to make that work. So we have a transport that we can change basically at any time by signing a new agreement. They change that bandwidth allocation. The same thing with ICN. You can go back and change that bandwidth allocation anytime down the road. You're not, with a fiber connection, you're not hamstrung by what the maximum supported speed is.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Other questions?
So it sounds.
Trustee Garner?
So it sounds like we have to get off T1. That's mandatory. That means we got to get on something else, correct? And that means it's going to be expensive, or more expensive. But then there's some cost savings.
Yeah, so we had a whole host of a couple different problems here to solve, and tried to take an approach of let's see how many we can solve with as few solutions as possible. In terms of how much you're paying per unit of bandwidth, it's much cheaper than it was in the past, but you're paying for a lot more units of bandwidth. So that's the trade-off.
Okay. Sounds like we don't have much choice in the matter.
We definitely had to do something, and to stay at the amount of bandwidth we were doing in the past would have actually cost us more for the same thing. So in this case, we're getting all kinds of other benefits, taking those costs and sharing amongst a couple different uses. I think it was really a best case scenario. A lot of these have been projects that have been on our radar for a long time, but there was never that precipitating event that says we have to do it now. And it's worked in our favor in terms of waiting, because the same quotes that you would get from Comcast or ICN 3-4 years ago, all the costs are decreased as they are now with competition in the market.
Okay.
No other questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
So
Oh,
moved.
Trustee Ross.
Second.
Oh, okay. Motion by Trustee Ross, second by Trustee Thorstensen. Roll call, please.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Jacob.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
All ayes.
All right. Motion carries. We need to put Trustee Balmas out of her misery here. But I'll reopen the floor for public comment if you'd like to address the board. State your name for the record, and address is voluntary.
My name's Nancy Schreiber. I'm at 1801 Magnolia in Gurnee. As a longtime village resident, I'm concerned about I'd like to go back and address the dismissal of our esteemed fire chief, Fred Friedel. And I have some questions. Number one, I'd like to know, if it's possible to know, was this a result of disciplinary action in the way he was treated in his dismissal and the abruptness of it? Apparently he had no idea. Also, was this a full board decision, or is this something that one or two people make that decision?
The village does not comment or discuss personnel matters. Appointments are made as a recommendation by myself with concurrence of the board.
Okay. Well, that kind of answers my question there. I had one more question. Apologize for my glasses. I forgot my regular glasses, so I can't see you without glasses. So. I did have another question. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I guess I forgot what it is. Well, you probably can't answer that question. I understood he was told the department was going into another direction. As a citizen of the village, is there any indication of what the direction would be that would change someone from 23-year tenure of being an outstanding fire chief to a different direction for the fire department?
The village can't comment on personnel matters or discuss them in public.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Any other public comment? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Garner, second by Trustee Thorstensen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.